Weatherhead?
Yeah. Oh. Hafide and good morning to you, the people of Guam. Today is September 7, 2023. This public hearing will be conducted by myself, Senator Quinata, Acting Chairman of Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power, Energy, Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Insurance. I'm only acting because the Senator was under the weather this morning. Unfortunately, cannot continue the public hearing. So this hearing is started at 11:37 a.m. For the record, and to comply with open government law, notice of this hearing was disseminated via email to all senators, local media outlets on Wednesday, August 30th, 2023. And the second notice was also shared to all senators and local media Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. Notice of this hearing was posted and available on the Guam Legislature's website and the Government of Guam Public Notice portal. This morning, the committee will hear testimony and discussion of Bill 147-37 Core, introduced by Senator William A. Parkinson, Tina Rose Muña Barnes, Dwayne T.D. Nicolas, an act to add to the Article 7, Chapter 8, Division 1 of Guam Code Annotated, relative to certification of electrical repairs to weatherheads by GPA after a natural disaster. I would like to welcome my colleague, Senator San Augustine, to my right, Senator Tello Tidewee to my left, and I believe Senator Joanne just stepped out, but she'll be right back. So thank you guys for joining me this morning. We will now proceed to the discussions on Bill 147-37, which I would do. I believe we only have GPA to testify, so that's great. Thank God. So with that being said, GPA, on you. Turn on your mic and just introduce yourself again, standard.
Thank you, Senator Quinata. Thank you, Senator Tidewee, Senator San Augustine, and Senator Brown. I'm Tracy Limtiaco, the Assistant General Manager of Administration at GPA, and with me today is John Kim, our CFO. The Guam Power Authority supports the intent of Bill 147-37, specifically to provide expedient and safe repair of customers' electrical connection following disaster-caused damage and to restore vital electric service. The foremost issue concerning repairs to customers' electrical connections is safety. Reconnection of service to customer side incomplete or substandard repaired components poses serious health risks to the customer and to the GPA line electrician, fire risks and potential damage to other electrical components within the customer's premise. We do not opt for expediency without regard to safety. We do, however, agree that the current process can be improved. In our testimony, in our written testimony, we did include a photo of a substandard weatherhead repair that we discovered in Typhoon Mawar when we were asked to go back and reconnect this customer's power. The Department of Public Works is charged with the responsibility of carrying out the local building code, including inspections and permits, including post-disaster repairs, to ensure the building electrical system is safe for occupancy. GPA's inspection requirements reflect DPW's inspection requirements. In post-disaster situations, DPW often waives the DPW inspection requirement and allows master electricians, and in some cases professional engineers, to perform inspections of customer-side electrical repairs. The Guam Contractors Licensing Board maintains a listing of all licensed master electricians. The Guam PILS Board maintains a listing of licensed professional engineers. GPA suggests that DPW post-disaster waiver be automatic. Electric work, including repairs, should be made under the direction and supervision of licensed competent persons in the trade. While some GPA employees maintain local certification as master electricians, this is not true for all GPA line electricians. Shifting the inspection responsibility to GPA employees may expose the utility to unnecessary liability. Following a major storm, typhoon, or other natural disaster, the whole of GPA is dedicated to the recovery efforts. Non-urgent routine work responsibilities are temporarily suspended to focus on recovery and restoration. Work schedules and shifts are amended to ensure around-the-clock restoration efforts. In spite of these modifications, GPA may request assistance from other power utilities under the mutual aid agreements. Shifting the post-disaster repair inspection responsibilities to GPA will hinder its overall recovery efforts. In regard to costs, GPA waives fees for reconnection following post-disaster repairs. The cost associated with the weatherhead repair is driven by the market. These costs vary depending on the extent of repairs. Additionally, some customers wait on insurance or FEMA inspectors and/or resulting payments on claims to be completed before initiating post-disaster repairs. This impacts the timeliness of the electrical reconnection. Also, the Attorney General of Guam issues a reminder that price gouging is prohibited in advance of disasters. GPA suggests that the law be expanded to cover post-disaster repair services. It is GPA's position that the intent can be achieved by means that does not negatively burden GPA's disaster recovery efforts or subject the government utility to undue liability. So thank you on behalf of John Benavente and our team. Thanks for the opportunity to provide our input.
Thank you, Ms. Lim Tiaco, BIBA GPA. Again, I will yield to my colleague, Senator San Augustine. You are recognized if you have any comments or concerns for the panel.
Yes, okay, 5 minutes only. Okay, I'll keep it short. You know, and I agree with GPA. When somebody builds a house, GPA don't go and inspect the wires. That's DPW's problem. So I agree with you. DPW should be the one to allow the inspections or whatever. Let them figure that out. I'm very thankful that during the restoration, GPA was moving fast. And you guys work with the private industries and things worked out. There are some people that are gonna complain, but they're the same folks that didn't reach out and say, hey, I'm still out. They're hoping somebody will come by. Come on. Realistically, I believe GPA did whatever they need to do. I'm just trying to understand the bill that GPA be responsible, shall only require the inspection. GPA, you take a look at the weather. If it's good, they connect. If it's not good, you're not going to connect it because you know the liability is on you folks.
We rely, excuse me, we rely on the inspection report. So the inspection report is usually in non-disaster times, blue skies. That does go through the correct DPW process, and we do go out and we ask for that to ensure that it is proper. Post-disaster, when DPW waives not only waives but can assign the inspection responsibilities to master electricians or PEs, we do take that same inspection report that's signed off by someone authorized, and we do ensure that their license number is there, that the license is still valid, and then we do connect.
No, but I was just trying to make it very clear that when it comes to weatherhead, I know for a fact. I mean, I saw your folks out there.
Yes.
You look at a weatherhead. If it's down, no connection. I said, put forward, don't connect it because you'll be liable. That's what, and I've seen them. They're very consistent.
Right. Senator, you know, also, just because the weatherhead is damaged doesn't necessarily mean that other components within that house system is undamaged. So again, if we're just looking at one portion of the electrical system and not checking everything, we do not want that liability, and again, the foremost concern is safety of our customers and our employees.
Yes. Okay. And well, otherwise, I agree with what your testimony is. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator San Augustine. I will now acknowledge Senator Joanne Brown to my left.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I did want to ask, because, you know, I was there when the CCU was created. We created the CCU. And part of it was the degree of political interference that was coming into play with regards to the utilities. I mean, we always made sure, you know, who got hired where and did what. And it ended up where we were with the Guam Water Works Authority and where we ended up with the Guam Power Authority, which was a major nosedive. I'm looking at this bill, and we're essentially dictating what GPA does and doesn't do, which was never the intent of why we created the CCU. And I don't mean to allow you guys to go off the deep end either, but I think we need to look at that with regards to the authorities we granted the Guam Power Authority to kind of keep our fingers out of the process, because I'm a little concerned that by dictating what they can and cannot do and what they can and cannot charge. I mean, I'd look at this and say, wow, how's this impacting our bond covenants and other things? Which was intended to essentially protect the authority from that degree of political interference, to make sure that GPA was operating with its focus primarily on generating power as effectively and efficiently at the best rate for the people. And so I have concerns about the language that's been included, where essentially we are dictating that to the Guam Power Authority, which again, is not why we created the structure as it is, to ensure the most effective operation. So, I mean, at this point, I have reservations about supporting this bill, including the fact we're saying, well, you're going to do this, this, and this, and by the way, you can't charge for it. I think that whole intent is contrary to the structure, and unless, you know, senators are going to come up and remove the CCU entirely and restore it back, which some have proposed because they think that having a governor of Guam operate the utilities is a very effective way of doing it. We saw where that led us. And that's why we interceded at the time to create the CCU, so that the focus of resources could be primarily put toward ensuring that what our ratepayers were paying for was the actual operation of the power system and the water system. So at this time, I don't support this bill, but I did want to ask you, just to get clarification, I know it's part of the testimony, but this whole issue with regards to which electricians are certified to actually go do this type of work. And understandable, I mean, during the typhoons, you guys are working as effectively as you can. I understand there's a lot of criticism. You know, nowadays when we lose our comfort, we're very quick to complain. You know, I don't know how our grandparents survived Guam without, you know, but us, Iadi, you know, we wither. You know, a lot of work and effort by your people to respond after the disaster, but in this circumstance here, who would be the qualified? I see the reference to the master list, and I did see the master list going around of mastered certified electricians that you could call to come in and do work for you. Does that meet the qualifications to do this kind of work that this bill's proposing you guys are supposed to do and inspect? So that the work can still be done, life goes on without impeding the work of GPA or the need for residential customers to get their power connected properly.
I'm sorry, Senator, is the question whether our line
Yes,
electricians...
because the question came up about who can do this kind of work. I mean, if you look at the bill, it's saying that...
Who can inspect,
Yeah, it's
ma'am?
essentially complaining about who can or cannot do the work, who's qualified to go in as an electrician and do this type of work with regards to the weatherhead.
So when it comes to the work permit inspection, we do refer back to and defer back to DPW. DPW says it must, in the event of a post-disaster, they have, almost every disaster, they have said, we will waive the DPW inspection, actual inspection by DPW, so long as a licensed master electrician
Performs the work.
performs the inspection and signs off on it. And in Typhoon Mawar, they expanded that selection to licensed professional engineers.
Okay, and how has that affected you on your end at GPA? Is that adequate or no?
Honestly, we had a whole bunch of work orders come in from signed off by professional engineers, master electricians, and yeah, we thought it was adequate.
Okay.
So we, to the best of my knowledge, we did not have any issues where we came and if it was properly signed off, the work was not, you know, adequate.
So far you've had no issue with regards to that, even the
Correct. Not
expansion
to
to the
my
licensed
knowledge.
engineers? You had no issue with that so far?
No, and you know, as you know, being a former DPW general manager, administrator, you know, director, I'm sorry, you do know that a license carries a lot of responsibility. So if you're a licensed master electrician and a licensed professional engineer, you are signing off on that with, you know, with a vested
Sure.
responsibility.
Right.
And
You could be
so-
kissing your
right.
career goodbye.
So
Yeah, at least
so
in this field.
it does allow
Yeah.
GPA
Kiss
to, you know,
bye.
to trust that that the work was completed correctly.
So would you say, in all fairness, is there a need for this legislation?
We believe that that if this body would like to make any legislation, we could help DPW by making the exception the rule, the waiver during post-disaster times. You know, it is hard to get an electrician sometimes to come out, a master electrician, and it certainly did help that you could go to some professional engineers, and if they're willing to do that, then that's great. From a cost perspective, we feel that it is driven by the market. So if you can expand the number of people available, hopefully your price goes down. But as we pointed out, it all depends on the extent of the repair, and the damage.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate you responding to my questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Senator Brown. At this time, I'll acknowledge my colleague, Senator Talo-Taigui. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I probably won't need 5 minutes. I kept reading this over and over and trying to figure out why are we dictating any of this to anybody. I mean, if anybody have problems with, price gouging, then they go to the Attorney General. I mean, we have laws for that on price gouging. But yeah, your GPA is getting hit because now they want you to shoulder the cost of hiring additional people to come out and do the work to inspect. And I don't think that's, there's not even prices in here on how much it's going to cost GPA to do this. But I think my colleague, Senator Brown, had all the questions I had, and I'm glad she asked that because I don't support this bill the way it's written right now. Oh, absolutely not. And appreciate your time here.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you for your troubles. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Senator Taidui. At this time, I think we've exhausted the testimony for today's public hearing on Bill 147-37 Core. So I'll call for a recess, and we'll recess at 11:53 so that we can transition to Bill number 66-37. Again, thank you, panel, for coming out today. We really appreciate your presence. Have a good day. Take care. Hafide and good morning to you, the people of Guam. Today we are September 7, 2023. This public hearing will be conducted by myself, Senator Quinata, on behalf of William A. Parkinson, Chairman of the Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power, Energy, Utilities, Public Transit, Employment Insurance, Universal Insurance. This hearing is now called to order at 11:55 a.m. So, unfortunately, there's no individual to testify. I am a co-sponsor on this bill. The bill number is 66-37 Core, introduced by myself, introduced by Senator William A. Parkinson, co-sponsored by Roy Anthony Benavente Quinata, an act to repeal the Article 14, Chapter 5, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, relative to removing Guam Procurement Advisory Council. Unfortunately, again, there's no one here to testify, so I will yield 5 minutes to each of my colleagues to give oral testimony if they'd like. So I will start with Senator San Augustine to my right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if the intent is to eliminate a board that doesn't have a purpose or function, then I would support that. And that's what I believe is the intent. And if that's the intent, they have no purpose, they have no members, then 100% support this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator San Augustine. At this time, I'll recognize Senator Joanne Brown to my left. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to prolong this. I concur with believe it or not, concur with the comments made by Senator San Augustine with regards to this bill. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
I like this public hearing. Thank you, Senator Joanne Brown. Next, Talo-Taidui. Senator Talo-Taidui, you recognize. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, as well. I did the same thing when it came to funds that were dormant for many, many years, and this body was good enough to get rid of those. But however, Mr. Chair, I would like us, if you can get a hold of the chairman of this committee to ensure that we have testimony, especially this bill and the bill that's coming up next, testimony from if anybody's going to be affected by this, the change or anything like that would be greatly appreciated before this bill goes to, or when we're on session, during session. So if we could have some testimony, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Taiwi. Prior to moving on to the next bill, I would just like to put in the record that bill number 66-37 core is not in Senator Parkinson's committee, but pursuant to Part B, Rule VI, Section 6.1, subsection I of standing rules. If the committee to which the bill has passed or referred does not get a public hearing within 120 calendar day timeline, the committee chairperson shall give a reason in writing of not holding a public hearing, and the prime sponsor of the bill may hold a public hearing following the written notification to the committee chairperson, and the hearing shall be transcribed to the prime sponsor. Again, thank you to my colleagues for being here to testify on this bill 66-37. With that being said, we've exhausted the testimony, and it is 11:58, and that is all. Thank you. On to the next bill. Hafide, and good morning to you, the people of Guam. Today is September 7, 2023. The public hearing will be conducted by myself, Senator Roy Quinata, on behalf of Senator Parkinson, Chairman of the Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power, Energy Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Health Insurance. This hearing is now called to order at 11:58 a.m. For the record and to comply with open government law, notices of this hearing were disseminated via email to all senators, local media outlets on Wednesday, August 30th, 2023, and the second notice was shared to all senators and local media Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. Notice of this hearing was also posted and available on the Guam Legislature's website and the government public notice portal. I want to put on the record that Bill 68-37 core is not in my committee, but pursuant to Part B, VI, Section 6.1, subsection I of the standing rules, if the committee to which the bill has been referred to does not hold a public hearing within 120 calendar day timeline, the committee chairperson shall give a reason in writing for not hosting the public hearing, and the prime sponsor of the bill may hold the public hearing following the written notification to the committee chairperson, and the hearing shall be transcribed by the prime sponsor. This morning we will hear testimony on Bill 68-37 core, introduced by Senator Will Parkinson, myself, Roy Anthony Benavente Quinata, an act to repeal subsection 1309 of Article 3, Chapter 1, Title 22, Guam Code Annotated, relative to removing the Guam Workforce Investment Board. Unfortunately, there is no one here to testify, so I will yield to my colleagues for 5 minutes if they'd like. Thank you. Senator San Augustine, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I repeat exactly what I said for the previous bill, Bill 66. If they have no purpose and there's nobody on the board, then I fully support it. Just get rid of it and be done with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator San Augustine. At this time, I will recognize Senator Joanne Brown. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I won't belabor it. I concur with the comments made by Senator San Augustine as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Joanne. I'll recognize Senator Tello Taidagui for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I'm hoping that we get some testimony regarding if this is going to impact anyone at all that it was intended for. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. Chair, for also, taking over this hearing for Senator Parkinson, who's sick today. I know you didn't anticipate that, but I appreciate your time as well. Thank you.
Of course, just doing my job. Thank you to my colleagues for attending today's hearing. If there are no further questions or comments towards Bill 68-37 core, I will now conclude this hearing at 12:01 p.m. My office, not my office, Senator Parkinson's office will continue to accept testimonies on today's hearing for the next 5 days from today, and it can be mailed to his office at 238 Archbishop Flores Street, Suite 905 at the DNA building in Agutnya. You may also send your written testimony to his office at Senator Parkinson at guamlegislature.org. Thank you all for your participation, and to those who are listening in the TV, we thank you for your presence as well. This public hearing is now adjourned, and the time is currently 12:02.